Hey, welcome to CultureCast. Today we feature an individual from Ohio State University who has done a lot of field work in Costa Rica. So stay tuned with CultureCast with Dustin Homan. Hey, welcome back. You know, of the 28 or so different TV programs that we undertake both at the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University, this is one of my favorites. Dustin Homan, who works with the Ohio State University, in which he's involved with the special programs and 4-H, gets to work with individuals who are involved in their schoolwork, who have gone to different countries. And today, Dustin has brought a really good guest who's going to be talking about Costa Rica. Dustin, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Patrick. And it's good to see that you're back.
Well, oftentimes we're supposed to be at two places at once, and I have not worked that magic out where I can be more than two places. But it's always great to be here.
Yeah, when you do, let me know, because I'll invest in that technology too. But it's good to see you, and I'm really excited today to have a guest with me. We're going to be featuring a very warm and tropical place because that's really where I want to be. And it's supposed to be spring right now, and we had snow yesterday. So since we can't take everyone who's watching to these beautiful places, we're going to bring a little bit of this beautiful place to the viewers. So for everyone that's joined in, thanks for tuning in. If you're a viewer who's been joining us, welcome back. And if you're new, hopefully you'll get hooked and look forward to continuing our journey together. So this morning, I should start off by saying buenos dias, because we're going to be taking a trip south of the border to Costa Rica. My guest today is Abby Motter. Abby is a third year majoring in Agri-science Education with minors in Spanish and production agriculture. I've had the opportunity to work with Abby past couple years and a little bit more closely just recently. And as I've gotten to know her, she's told me about some of her travels to Honduras and Nicaragua and now Costa Rica most recently. And so I thought she's the perfect person to have on our telecast this morning. So Abby, welcome.
Yes, good to be here.
Thank you for being here. Abby, start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself and why did you choose to come to Ohio State?
Of course. I'm from Richland County, close to Mansfield, Ohio. I grew up on a family farm and also have a little bit of a military background. When it came time to think about what I wanted to spend a career in and what I love to do, I was drawn to Ohio State because of the community that it provides to its students, and the opportunities here are unmatched, especially for someone who wants to travel and also have the chance to work with education projects, whether it's here at the university level, within local Columbus schools, and eventually when it comes to achieving my career goal of becoming a high school agricultural educator.
So did any of talk about your pathway to wanting to become an agri-science educator? How did you get interested in that?
In high school, I had a really awesome agriculture educator myself, and the personal investment that he puts into each and every one of his students is what drew me to wanting to do that myself and wanting to give back to those students and having the chance to find the potential in someone and helping them realize what strengths they have and what they're really good at. And then along the way, helping them realize that this might be a really great fit or a really great career for you, and watching them succeed is what brings me a lot of personal satisfaction and really drew me to want to be in the classroom, especially when it comes to agricultural education, because of the experimental learning and the opportunity to be hands-on, to kind of take that classroom curriculum and apply it in a real world situation. And the power that agricultural education has, not only within American communities here in the United States, but around the globe.
And
question, what you live on a farm, Abby?
Yes.
And what kind of farm do you have?
We have registered Hereford cattle, and we lease out acreage for corn and soybeans.
Oh, okay. All right. So, so your study sort of led you to South America, Central America?
Yes, Central America.
Huh.
And as I mentioned earlier, Abby's Spanish minor. As someone myself who's been trying to learn Spanish, it's hard to do
Yes.
in a U.S. environment. But until you immerse yourself in a country where, if you're not able to speak Spanish, it's very difficult. It can be difficult to get by. That's the best, I think, one of the best ways to learn. That's part of that experiential learning. So let's dig into some of Abby's photos. She's got some phenomenal photos, and I want to be sure we've got time to go through those so Abby can tell a little bit about her story. So first of all, Abby, I know you've been to Honduras and Nicaragua, which are near Costa Rica. Why did you choose to go to Costa Rica?
It's my junior year here at Ohio State University, and so realizing that the opportunities I would have to be immersed in education abroad were quickly going away as graduation becomes closer and closer. And education abroad is unique because it takes you places that you can't go on your own, and you can't go later on in life if you're trying to be a tourist or a world traveler. There's just something about education abroad that really brings you into contact with the people of that country and allows you to be immersed in that culture and feel like you're experiencing it firsthand. And so Costa Rica made a lot of sense for me because not only was it another Central American country, which is kind of where my focus has been, and not only what I'm learning here at the university, but also with my Spanish language skills and what I can see myself working with in the future. Costa Rica also had the chance to go to Earth University and do a homestay, and had a lot of components related to agriculture and how we can use agriculture education to help communities abroad.
The photo that you see on the screen, that is the Costa Rican flag. So as usual, we like to show the country flag, especially with the Olympics just recently coming off the Olympics, and you see all these beautiful flags. Hopefully now, if you see this one, you'll recognize that it's a Costa Rican flag. I think our next photo will give us a little bit of an idea as to where Costa Rica is. So in, as Abby said, Central America, south of Mexico, the two countries that Abby has also been to, Nicaragua and Honduras, just north. Yeah, just north of Costa Rica. I had to be sure I had my geography right there. So, all right, let's dig into some of these photos, Dwayne. And so, Abby, what a great way to start off.
Yes.
Tell us about what we're seeing here in this photo.
Yes, so this is one of the volcanoes that we had the opportunity to visit while in Costa Rica. We went on a hike up to this volcano. It was actually a lot steeper than I expected, but along the way, we stopped and we had the chance to learn a lot about the environment and also kind of the wildlife and the ecosystem that we were viewing. And so one of the things I thought was really cool is they have a tree, and it's called La Palma Caminando. And it's called essentially the walking palm. And the reason it's called the walking palm is because it will move over time across a rainforest landscape. And in order to achieve the nutrients that it needs to survive, because the rainforest is so competitive, so it'll grow roots in different areas and just kind of extend those roots and move itself. It's not like a tree that walks at night. It's very slow movement. It takes several years, but the fact that this tree has kind of adapted to its environment in order to survive the competition of the rainforest was something that I found really fascinating.
I feel like you're describing a scene out of Harry Potter.
Yeah, very similar.
And I don't know, it's not the dark forest, but anyway, in the forest outside of the Hogwarts castle. Anyway, I also wanted to mention, I forgot to, before Abby gets too far into her photos, to give our viewers a little bit of a reference point. So Costa Rica has a population of about 4.9 million people, which would put it on par with the state of Alabama. Ohio has about 11.7 million. So you're looking at, a little more than double or half the population of Ohio, excuse me. In terms of area, Costa Rica is about the size of West Virginia. And some kind of interesting tidbits that I picked up, they don't have a military, which I thought was very fascinating. And on the CIA website I was reading, they said that because they don't have a military, they're able to spend more of their money on things like universal education, universal health care, clean water, sanitation, and electric. So tell us a little bit about the standard of living in Costa Rica compared to what you saw in Honduras and Nicaragua.
The effects of tourism has definitely helped Costa Rica in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to its economy. Because it is such a popular tourist destination, they've really been able to capitalize on that industry, and really is a large part of what plays into their standard of living. Compared to Nicaragua and Honduras, Costa Rica has a higher standard of living. And one thing I found really interesting is that they often have troubles with immigration in Costa Rica because other Central American countries want to go there. Costa Rica is kind of the premier Central American country for that reason, And one of the large reasons it is because of the healthcare that it has, and also because of the focus on education. And in general, the sanitation and the cleanliness of Costa Rica when it comes to fresh water supply and sanitation facilities is greater than other Central American countries. I was actually really surprised because in Nicaragua and Honduras, we could only drink bottled water, no salad, very strict on things we could and cannot eat for our safety. But in Costa Rica, we didn't have any of those issues, which I was very surprised by, which I enjoyed because the salad was wonderful while we were there.
And so fresh. I think the next photo that we have here highlights some of the produce. I mean, tell us about the availability of the produce that you saw when you were in country.
I tried over 20 different types of fruits while in Costa Rica.
Wow.
And I'm kind of a picky eater. So some of those fruits are just kind of a little taste and that was it. Others were delicious. And so because of their tropical rainforest climate, the amount of fruit that they're able to grow is a lot larger than we can here in Ohio or anywhere in the United States. And also because of the structure of the country, a lot of people will grow an orange tree or any type of fruit just in their backyard or around their house. Pineapple, which is crazy to think because a pineapple would not survive or a banana tree would not survive outside our houses here in the United States.
So I just can't imagine walking out into my backyard. Just picking off some oranges, making fresh orange juice in the morning. So the green things that you see hanging in this photo, what are those?
I believe those are plantains.
Okay. So would be kind of like a cousin to a banana, but they don't tend to be as sweet. I know in some of the countries I've been to, they tend to use them similarly to kind of how we would use like a potato. They're very starchy and maybe boiled. Is that how you found it in Costa Rica?
One of my favorite dishes from Central America is fried plantains. Love those. They kind of just take the plantain and they dice it up into slices, and I don't know exactly what they do with it when they take it to the kitchen, but it comes out and it's fried and it has just a wonderful flavor and it's delicious.
And I know Abby has a photo of some food. Dwayne, could you skip ahead to that one? Looks like, was this a breakfast dish that you had?
Yes, this is breakfast that we had at my homestay with my family.
Okay. So once we pull up that photo, there we go. Talk to the viewers a little about what do they see on the plate?
So the basis of not just in Costa Rica, but Central American meals in general is going to be your rice and beans. Very delicious. I love rice and beans. However, after being there for a while, I definitely needed a break. That's kind of their staple, 3 meals a day, every meal a day. And the reason for that is because of the availability and the economic, effect of rice and beans. It's not very expensive. It's very accessible for everyone that lives in the country. We also had eggs, which I think you can see in the bottom of the plate, which are from the chickens that our home mom had. And there's also some homemade cheese, which is there as well on the plate. And then in the bottom right-hand corner is fried plantains. So you can see my favorite dish. And of course, every meal has fresh fruit and coffee. That's also a staple. As a coffee drinker in the United States, I enjoy a lot of creamer, but whenever I go to Central America, black coffee tastes a lot better there. Just saying.
She's rubbing it in, Patrick. I'm sitting here drinking my Starbucks, which I think is pretty good. And she's gloating about Costa Rican coffee, which is, you're right, it's some of the best in the world. Are you a coffee drinker, Patrick?
I would have a very difficult time, when I drink coffee, I love cream. And so I guess the challenge would be is if Dustin, you and I went to Costa Rica, could we drink black coffee? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
You can put sugar in it. That's what I do.
That's true. And that's fairly available.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. You could put that in. I noticed that was one of their top exports: bananas, coffee, sugar, and beef. And I know Abby has got a photo, I think, from a pig farm, it appears.
Yes.
That you did. So let's kind of get into a little bit of this actual study abroad. So first of all, what was the topic or the reason for going on this study abroad?
This education abroad program focused on sustainability in agriculture, specifically what agricultural methods do developing countries use and what can we learn from those as United States citizens. So a big portion of the trip focused on Earth University, which is a really awesome and unique place. At Earth University, they only have a class of 100 students a year, and they take students from around the globe that have a passion and an interest in agriculture and want to take those lessons that they learn at the university and apply them back to their home communities. So, for example, when we stayed at Earth, we stayed there for 3 days. I had lunch with a student from Madagascar. Never in my life do I think I will meet someone from Madagascar.
Who was a student at Earth?
Yes, he was a student at Earth.
Awesome.
So the amount of countries that they have represented there is awesome because of the idea sharing, because of the experience sharing, and because of the things you can learn from their different climates, their different forms of agriculture, and what community problems they're passionate about and that they feel like they have the responsibility to go fix. One of the stories that really stuck out to me was a female student from Zimbabwe, I believe, and she really wanted to focus on greenhouse production within her community as a way for the women in her community to not only provide for their families, but also have their own ability to have entrepreneurship to make some extra money for their families and also have a way to make money for their family that wouldn't take them far away from home. They'd be able to do this within their own communities. And so she focused on taking a lot of classes in greenhouse production and wanted to take those and apply it back within her home country and her home community. And Earth University has a farm that is set up in a way to be completely sustainable. And they kind of use this model farm not only to teach some of their courses, but every senior in the college is required to have a project, which if you were involved within 4-H or FFA, it's kind of like your fair project or your supervised agricultural experience. And they have to carry out this project from start to finish. They have to show that they had a budget, that they made money off of it. And it's kind of like their test run for them to take what they want to implement within their home communities and carry it out here at Earth University. So the pictures of the hogs is from visiting the hog operation that they have at Earth University.
And going back to your earlier point, so will these hogs be used at the university to feed students?
Yes, that's what's really cool is all the products that they raise at the farm, all the livestock that they raise at the farm goes back to feeding students in the cafeteria at Earth University.
And who takes care of the pigs?
The students, yes. The one product that does not specifically go just to Earth is bananas. Actually, Whole Foods is the kind of the investor in their banana operation at Earth University. So all of the bananas that you purchase at Whole Foods are from this Earth University in Costa Rica.
No way. Did you get to see the plantation where they have Oh, that's incredible. A true like field to fork experience for you to be able to see that.
You know, one of the things that I also noticed in one of the pictures was pineapple.
Yes.
Is that a major produce? Pineapple?
Yes. What was really interesting in Costa Rica is because there's so much diversity, not only in ecosystems and in climate, but also geography. And so in different parts of the country, different crops do very well. So when we were in Earth University, bananas did really well because it was a lower altitude and it was more fit to growing those bananas. Whereas in another part of the country, pineapples would be more dominant. And eventually, when we're really high above sea level, coffee. So coffee does really well in between a certain elevation. And so you can kind of grade the quality of the coffee based on where you're at in the country, and where you're at specifically in Costa Rica as far as above sea level.
So there are a few more photos I want to be sure we get to as we're getting towards the second half of our telecast. Abby, there's a photo here. It looks like people are surrounding a table, and they look like they're little round things on this table. Yeah, what are we seeing here?
Coffee. Yes. Coffee production in Central America is huge. And one of my favorite things is whenever you visit a coffee farm or plantation, they instantly make fun of Starbucks. So in case you're wondering, they think that Starbucks coffee is terrible, as Dustin sips his.
Yeah, wow.
Also found very interesting is that we think dark roast coffee is the most caffeinated, but really it's light roast, because the more that the coffee bean is sitting in the sun, the more caffeination is kind of being leached out of it because it's been sitting in the sun for so long.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I forced myself to like dark roast coffee. I assumed there was a higher amount of caffeine. I was getting more bang for my buck. Thank you. I learned something today. Now, you mentioned doing a homestay.
Yes.
And do we have some photos here from your homestay you'd like to show?
Yes. The one where I'm with little boy, of course.
And describe to us this homestay. How long was it? Who did you stay with?
Yes. Homestays are my favorite part of any education abroad, because you actually get the chance to feel like not only are you part of their family because they're so welcoming and they're so appreciative that you're there, but you also get to really experience firsthand and what it's like to be in that culture and to be in that community. And it allows you to do a lot of self-reflection. One of the things I struggle with is the concept of being versus doing. And in Central American cultures, it is accepted and endorsed and part of their lifestyle to spend time sitting around with your family and not feeling like you have to have a conversation, but just enjoying each other's company. As someone who's a busy college student, I have a very hard time just sitting. I feel like I need to do something. And so embracing that aspect of the lifestyle and also embracing, Costa Rican time or Central American time, being flexible, realizing that if you have something at 3 o'clock, you're probably not going to leave till 4 o'clock anyway, so pura vida, it's fine. At the homestay, one of my favorite parts is we had a birthday party that we kind of came into on the first day. We stayed for 3 days and 2 nights at our homestay, and we were kind of split into groups of 3 students based on Spanish abilities for the most part, because our families knew very little English, which is a really awesome challenge, because even if you aren't a Spanish language speaker, you can communicate with them, and kind of realizing that there's so much in common, there's so much you can do body language wise, and that really the language barrier doesn't have to be a barrier if you don't look at it that way. And one really good example of that is the little boy in that picture. He was there while we were cleaning up from the birthday party, and he, just like any other boy you might see here at the United States, was tossing a balloon and trying to keep it up in the air. And one of the times he tossed it, just came a little too close to me, and I decided that I was going to join in. And so as soon as he saw that I wanted to participate and was keeping the balloon up in the air, he was all about it. He was excited. And so all of a sudden we had a game going, and that kept on for several minutes. And he wanted to get the rest of our group engaged and involved, and the fact that someone wanted to take the time to play with him and be with him, we were really excited to be able to be a part of that boys' day.
I think you make a great point, Abby. And in some of my travels as well, you go in thinking that you need to have so much prepared, right? I need to be able to do this, and well, what if someone asks this question? I need to have this ready. And in this instance that you just displayed, it's not only a great example of being, as you were talking about, but also this kind of universal language of sports, music, dance. I mean, like you're saying, things you don't need language for, but that everyone can kind of coalesce around. I think that's a great story and a great example of that. So for our viewers, if this culture is interesting to you, but you don't speak Spanish, one, I think we would recommend you take some lessons, but two, Abby's stories are making me feel like, even though I'm not fluent in it, I can still get an immersive experience. I can still be part of the culture. And that's the thing that we want to try to convey through some of these telecasts that we're doing.
I think you're absolutely right. The world is shrinking, and the cultures that I grew up in was pretty much one-sided. But as the technology has grown, we have the ability to meet with all different kinds of individuals, just like Abby was able to meet with someone from Madagascar. And that is just fantastic.
In Costa Rica.
Yes.
That's what gets me. Like, you had no idea any kind of experience like that was going to happen. So as we're getting towards the end of our telecast, there's always one last question that I like to ask people. And I want to show the photo of the waterfall, because it just, I think it captures so well your experience of this trip. So Abby, why should people visit Costa Rica?
There's so many reasons to go abroad, and there's so many reasons to step outside of your comfort zone. But Costa Rica really offers you the best of both worlds when it comes to traveling, because not only will you be able to get the touristy side of things, you'll be able to see the wildlife, see the waterfalls, go on nature hikes, see volcanoes, but you'll instantly be welcomed into the Costa Rican lifestyle. You'll instantly be welcomed and greeted by Pura Vida, or Twanis, which is kind of like their hey dude, or Mai, which is also dude. You'll be instantly welcomed into that culture, because they want you to be there, and they want to share their country because it is so beautiful and it has so much biodiversity. And they'll be willing to, treat you to a Costa Rican meal, welcome you into their homes, and get you involved and get you engaged, because they want you to feel like you're a Costa Rican.
Did you feel safe? There are some countries you just don't feel safe. Did you feel safe in Costa Rica?
Yes. We had local guides who were with us the entire trip, and I would also say that that's a really important part to having a great experience in a Central American country, because not only can they help you with the language barrier if you need it, but they can integrate you into that culture and immerse you while you're there.
Huh. I think that's just fantastic. Dustin, I envy I envy you for, number one, you get to go on the many different trips, and then you get to meet all different kinds of students who come from all different walks of life and go to many different places. What a great CultureCast you put together.
Well, thanks, Patrick. But like I said, this is the people that I get to interview. That is the blessing for me. And it also is kind of an opportunity for me to sample these different countries to see if I really want to go before I invest the money. And I know Costa Rica has bumped up a few spots after talking to Abby. And from from a geographic perspective, it's not that far, right?
No.
How long was your plane ride?
3 hours from Miami.
3 hours, wow.
I mean, that's how long it takes to get to different parts of Ohio in a car. So hop on an airplane, you can be in a tropical paradise. But Patrick, I want to thank you for helping to co-host. Dwayne and Sarah, thanks for all you do in the background of this as well. And Patrick, I think it's time to sign off. I
think so. We're talking with Dustin Homan. Dustin Homan works with The Ohio State University, in which he's involved with the college education, environmental sciences, food, egg program. He also works with the 4-H program. On behalf of Dustin, I'm Patrick Dangle. Thank you for listening.